Operation Paperclip, 1945 to 1959. This is the Great Awakening, Unit 1 Timeline Research. Before we get started, please like this video, leave a thumbs up. Don't leave fucking smartass downward thumbs up. Only Jew Freemason people do that shit before the video even comes out and they don't like it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But please drop a thumbs up. It helps me know that you are watching. So, Operation Paperclip. Let's get into it. After 1945, the people through the media and papers all are told the story that World War II was won by the Allied forces, which were the Americans in Europe, and basically all the people that have the central Federal Reserve banks all claimed they won the war. So, what really happened was officially the U.S. won the Second World War, justice was done, and victory was achieved. After the war, Nuremberg trials took place and the guilty were punished. But as researchers, we know the official version of what happened is not the truth. And anytime an official version is okayed by the government, we know the opposite is basically taking place. So the Nuremberg trials were held by the Allies against the representatives of the defeated Nazi Germany for plotting and carrying out invasions of other countries across Europe and atrocities against their citizens in World War II between 1939 and 1945. Nazi Germany invaded many countries across Europe, inflicting 27 million deaths in the Soviet Union alone. 24 Nazis were tried in the Nuremberg trials, but over 6,000 plus Nazis were hidden throughout the world in Operation Paperclip. Nothing is as it seems, and whatever they tell you, it is never the truth. You have to really dig and do lots of research to kind of figure out what's really going on. Side note, I think that Hitler was an invented personality or character. Multiple people played this character. It's the same type of actors playing roles, body doubles, wearing masks or prosthetics, and even aided by the use of human cloning. Now, this is just a personal theory of mine, but it makes more and more sense after seeing the events of 2024 play out the way they are with Biden and Trump. Something to think about. So, Operation Paperclip was a world government plan to install high level Nazi scientists, occultists, and personnel into parts of the government throughout the US, the Soviet Union, and the UK. Mainly, these former Nazis were brought to the US and the USSR to aid in the supposed space programs. This would take place between 1945 and 1959. After the war, some Nazis and World War II players were relocated to Argentina, and others were relocated throughout America, Europe, and Soviet Union. Now, officially, this was a secret government intelligence program. Over 6,000 Nazi scientists, engineers, and technicians were relocated worldwide to continue the destruction of the old world. Immediately after World War II concluded, the Cold War with Russia would begin. Everyone should know that these wars were a cover story for the greater deception of furthering the reset of the old world. Understanding wars only take place in the locations where the former Tartarian Empire was functioning fully and unified. The wars are a result of the destruction of this old world. The powers in control also know this and plan accordingly. The narrative of the space race was a deception to install MK Ultra mind control programming throughout the world we know, but mainly the westernized former Tartarian areas where the descendants of Tartaria were widespread. That's where this MK Ultra mind control programming would be installed. Germany was fully destroyed and removed as a threat after World War II. If you look at Germany today and most of Europe, you will see the replacement of the natural born citizens, and new foreign arrivals who destroy everything take their place. This was all planned out and is the same thing that's happening in the US. And the only place it is not going on seems to be Russia. And you look at how these Zionist Jewish people have infiltrated all these governments that used to be Tartaria. They say the number one weapon supplier of Israel today is Germany. Now, doesn't that just make you stand back and scratch your head? Like, what is going on with this? But it all makes sense when you understand the missing pieces of the puzzle. Everything is a tactic of the controllers to weaken and destroy Western culture and remove the descendants of the once great Tartary or Tartaria. It's a biblical war. It's the synagogue of Satan, the SS against the followers of Christ. And if you didn't know, the Nazi SS are the synagogue of Satan. The Nazis are the National Zionists. It is very apparent. If you follow my research, check out the past videos about National Zionism, and you have to be almost retarded to not see what's going on being played out on your TVs and on the internet every day. You see it more and more clearly every single day. So, German scientists, this is another trust the science kind of thing, recruited by the US. Anytime science is put on a piece of paper, German scientists, you might as well just change scientists to Satanists. That's what they are. It's the German Jewish Satanist population coming into America to create technology for enslaving the population. Now, this is the German rocket team. You can see, Werner von Braun down there and all these people. But this is like 100 people, this German rocket team. You brought 6,000 of these motherfuckers over here. So you should be questioning all this stuff about NASA and all this stuff when they got 100 rocket scientists pushing this fraud and deception of we're making rockets to go to the moon and we're going to beat the Soviets and that's all a deception. So what you should be asking is what's really going on with this Operation Paperclip, and we will get into it very soon. Nazi war criminals, upon being captured by the United States, you know what? They're somewhat of a scientist myself. That's how it works. Just claim science, and that seems to be the overall go-to maneuver for that these people do when they get caught doing atrocities, wars, genocide. They all trust the science. It's all science, and science can be interpreted any number of ways. It's interpreted the way they need it to get away with the actions that they commit. And the atrocities, the war crimes, the vaccines, the climate change, the global warming, the eat the bugs, and you're going to be happy, and you're not going to it's all science. And in 100 years or in 50, they'll say, well, geez, this science was all wrong. We've got to make new science to push our satanic New World Order agendas. It's the same things over and over again, and people just don't seem to see it. So, what was the point of Operation Paperclip? What was really going on? The Nazi expansions into governments across the world was an expansion of control and propaganda through mind control and the brainwashing of the masses. Through experimentations on the population of Germany, it was discovered that a person's mind could be altered using certain frequencies and signals from the television and radio. This was also aided with drugging, and this is where you see like fluoridated water start to come into play because it lowers your inability to question things. The Nazi personnel expanding throughout the world would begin the MK Ultra mind control program and Monarch mind control programming. By researching the occult aspects of the Nazi Party, you will discover the demonic practices of the high level Nazis and SS members. They were demonic practices involving pagan rituals, the sacrifice of men, women, and children, the communication with off world entities or demonic entities or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call it, and the headquarters of this Nazi SS was a fortress known as Wewelsburg Castle. This castle became the site for occult ritual practices of the Nazi Party, and it was a lot of eyes wide shut kind of stuff, masquerade balls, and sacrifice. This is this Wewelsburg Castle. I'm gonna probably have to do an entire video on this one location because there was so much going on here. Lots of darkness, satanic worship, and things like that, where they were all doing satanic rituals to contact these demonic entities. Very interesting when you look into this, but it seems like people don't want to look into things that proves them wrong. And all this Wheelsburg complex is all mud flood kind of stuff. You can see on the right side this picture over here on the left. There is the parking lot, and that is up above the ground. So it goes down several levels below the surface where they're hiding their secretive rituals and stuff like that. So I'll do a whole video on this castle and what they were doing there at a later date. Much to cover. Mind control programming. Knowing the connections between all of the world governments and the war efforts, it's not hard to believe that it was all planned from the start. Transferring the occult Nazis into modern day government would further the control of the people. If the former soldiers of Germany or all nations, if soldiers would fight and kill based on orders, the people just following orders basically just follow the orders given to them by authority figures. Now, the next major authority figures within Western society would be the television. The television would be the next controller of the people, and they would believe anything cast on them by this device. The next phase would also include the mass drugging of the population through the pharmaceutical industry and the CIA creating LSD and other forms of mind control. And you look at this timeline, World War II ends, Operation Paperclip starts, Operation High Jump takes place, the Roswell crash, then Israel is founded, with the CIA also being founded. And then you see that's the beginning of the end for Western culture and the American society. This is where they brought in their peace and love and all this hippies and drugs and LSD and all this stuff, breaking up the nuclear family, sending people into sex rituals, going to orgies, having sex in the mud and the rain, and all this kind of stuff. Then you get into the 80s where the people who met and had kids all met during when they were all on drugs. Then the drugs wear off. The mom and dad don't like each other anymore because they're not on LSD and drugs. And then the divorce culture starts. Then once you have the divorce culture starts, those kids grow up with single parent households, and this just basically railroads the younger generations into doing more drugs, having more sex out of wedlock, things like that. Where now you see the world where everything's LGBTQ, no one knows what gender they are, everyone's on drugs, everyone can't read, they don't know what country they're on, they don't know. It's like the most insane satanic agenda that's been achieved. And we're in the final steps where the last things they need to get going is cannibalism, pedophilia, bestiality, incest, and we're basically going to have a society of do what thou wilt, which is a full satanic agenda. And they're going to ban Christianity, ban the Bible, just like they've done in Israel, just like they've done in Ukraine. No more talk about Jesus Christ because they're all satanic Jewish people. Now, this picture here is the result of Operation Paperclip. It was not creating rockets to get to space. It was invading the space of your household with this demonic communication device known as television. tell-a-vision and tell-lie-vision. It is all a brainwash and a propaganda machine to get you to believe whatever agendas they want to push your way. Now, this can get into Operation Mockingbird, where basically all the culture is invented by CIA. This is where you get the rock and roll culture and the music culture and all these rock stars from Jim Morrison to they all have family members in high up military. It's all a military CIA operation to create culture the same way the CIA creates the rap culture in order to get the population violent, killing each other, committing crime to further degrade the Western civilization and Western culture. Now, within these old televisions was a substance called red mercury. This can be found in old television sets, this red mercury substance. There you see this red mercury. Now, the red mercury connects to what the secret occult ritualistic practices they were doing in the Williamsburg Castle and what this substance does. Now, the red mercury was a key component in old televisions and connects to the black goo substance. It is a conductor to the lower fourth dimension. It acts as a key to unlock a doorway to the lower fourth dimension where these demonic entities can enter our realm and possess people by way of opening this portal. This is how demonic entities enter our world or realm through objects like this television. And if you're unaware of the black goose substance, I've talked to about it and talked about it in previous videos. You should watch my Project Bluebeam video. I'll probably do a whole giant series. Probably, I'm kind of full up on videos till October, but it's a satanic collective consciousness of the all the people who sell their soul creativity essence goes into the collective consciousness of Satan, which is this black goose substance. And it can possess people. It connects to the vaccines. It connects to the 5G. It connects to the graphene. Everything we're seeing is a product of this black goo substance. It's in the smart technology, anything connected to the internet or the grid, which is a device, connects to this black goo substance. I'll have to do another video on that, mainly focusing on the black goo. Drop a comment below if you want to see that. I don't know. There's so much to cover about all this stuff. Another Nazi SS creation was the invention of fluoride, fluoridated water. Fluoride is a mind-altering additive that affects the pineal gland, and the pineal gland connects to the adrenochrome and the frill. Fluoride calcifies your pineal gland, and the pineal gland is the third eye, which connects to the higher dimensions. Now, the higher dimensions could be God and Christ, or it can connect to the lower fourth dimension, which is used to connect and summon these demonic entities and stuff like that. So, it is very important that human beings keep their third eye clean and keep the way they see the world according to their own beliefs, not the beliefs given to them by the television or the invented culture of the CIA or whatever you want to call it, the Mossad or whatever. The way it is they want to get you to believe whatever story they're pushing, and then your thoughts create the reality that your belief system runs on. So if you see on TV people committing murder, you're more likely to do murder. You see people having sex out of wedlock and stuff like that, you're more likely to do that. Now you see pedophilia is normalized, and people are way more likely to get into this stuff if they see it's normalized by the TV and the radio and the music and all this stuff. That's how this works. And when your fluoride is in the water and your third eye or your higher self is corrupted or it's not working correctly, you're more persuaded into doing these sinful type acts. And that's how they slowly get you over time into becoming one of their minions, like these liberal Democrat kind of people. So the fluoride molecule, when you type in sodium fluoride, this is what comes up, and it is a cube. And if you're not aware of cubes and cube symbolism, understand that it connects to Saturn. The controllers or those associated with the controllers all worship cubes and Saturn. Okay. And if you're not aware of these cubes, they're everywhere. These black cubes, it's like the Borg on Star Trek flying around in cubes. The Borg is the collective consciousness of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is Satan. It is the collective consciousness of evil. Evil is the emerging virtual intelligent life forms. It's like gods in a computer game that can do all this stuff. They can do all this fantastic stuff because it's in a holographic reality or an artificial reality. And this is why it's so amazing. They want you to give up your soul and enter into this matrix type computer system where it's the metaverse or whatever they want to call it. But once you're into this system, it's like selling your soul without writing your name in blood or something. It's giving up your entire consciousness to this artificial intelligence, and then once you're in, you're never leaving. So who else do we know that puts these black cubes on their forehead? I mean, it's all the most satanic stuff that you could think about. And they've normalized this and made it just a normal everyday thing that these people are worshiping Satan and these cubes and Saturn and stuff. This other picture is a molecule of graphene, and the graphene all connects to the 369 system. It's all three sixes and nines. And if you're curious about this 369 system, you should watch my video on the two vibrational codes of our realm, the 124875 system against the 369 system, and the numerology and all the stuff. It makes sense when you understand what they understand and what they're hiding in plain sight through their symbols and symbolism and numerology. So I've done a few videos on the connections between the controllers and Saturn and the Vril. See previous videos. I think the best one is the Project Bluebeam video, kind of gets into it, but also the two vibrational codes videos that I did. We'll get into it a little bit more. So back to Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip would create the CIA and NASA and would give new names and identifications to former Nazis by the FBI. The FBI is the one who facilitates all these identity things, and it moves into the birth of the CIA and NASA. Now, these Nazis would be given certain surnames, including Gold, Silver, and Green. For example, Goldstein, Greenberg, Silverstein, Goldman, Greenman, etc., etc., etc. By giving them Jewish surnames, they could easily be hidden and never questioned as being former Nazis because the SS people they brought over here were all Jewish people, Jew people. And they all look very Jewish. They all have brown hair and brown eyes and look like rat people. But that's how they trick you. Okay, that's how they tricked the blonde haired German population to go to war and fight all these people. The same way the Zionist occupied government in America tricks people into going to war to Iraq by staging false flag operations and 9/11 and things like that. And I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, and people just don't seem to understand what we're dealing with and how bad the situation truly is. Now, gold and silver connects with the banking and money, and green connects to satanic influences. And I would also imagine whatever surname you get was like a coding system, so they would know gold, silver, green. It's all specific types of programming. Now, in the Bible, Satan is the green man in the Bible. This is where they get these names for, are you a money person, a technology person, or a satanic occultist kind of person? Now, these were only some of the names used. Some of the other surnames or other family names would have been just invented, and a new workforce of the secret government would be used for black projects and moving people into the secret space program, along with those who would facilitate the sex trafficking and adrenochrome harvesting and sale. Now, the adrenochrome harvesting is an important part because these demonic entities need this blood and these chemicals generated from the traumatized blood of adrenochrome as a currency with these demonic entities, these greys, these aliens. See my videos on the demonic entities, aliens, and extraterrestrials to kind of understand this a little further. So once installed in the government of the Soviet Union, the US and the UK, population would see vast amounts of MK Ultra programming forced onto them. These incoming Nazis would bring radio frequency weapons and fluoridated water and toothpaste to make the public more docile and controllable. Massive amounts of new pharmaceuticals, max vaccinations, the dumbing down of the civilian populations via the public education system, and the eventual birth of cell phones and the internet. This was the technology that could communicate with off-world entities without any of the public ever catching on, and the start of NASA would start the creation of satellites and rocketry for off-world or outside of our realm shipping and communication, which is everything is a deception when you understand the flat earth and how big our realm truly is. And you start looking into the satellites that are held up by balloons, and you understand that the rockets are fired and they crash into the ocean because they have mastered anti gravity in the 30s. In the 1850s, they had anti gravity. If you look into the Scenario Aero Club and stuff, it's all a deception for money laundering and to keep the people thinking that the government is working on technology that's going to help us and free us when you could have ran cars off water in the 30s or electric cars pulling energy out of the ether or out of the atmosphere. And they don't want any of this stuff. They don't want the free energy from the buildings. They want you controlled and working nonstop as a slave. Now, the CIA would provide funding due to the sale of drugs for the creation of more wars and more conflicts, creating more and more funding. These forever wars are just to money launder and create endless conflicts that can never be solved. And most of this funding would be used for the construction of deep underground military bases and other black projects. But you can see how the Jews are running the government, these Zionist people. It's a Zionist occupied government. All of Biden's cabinet is Jewish. All of the Ukraine government is Jewish. All of the Nazi government in World War II, the SS were all Jewish. Now, they create these conflicts, and funding goes to stop the conflicts. That funding then goes and is laundered through weapons sales and stuff, and that money goes back into the United States to bribe politicians, to push more agendas to get more funding for war, and it just keeps the rich getting richer and the people in government richer and richer and richer, while the money is devalued more and more and more to the point where a dozen eggs cost $8. I mean, it's ridiculous, but the people are so mind controlled by TV, and they've been drinking the fluoridated water. These are all fluoride drinkers. These are all people who are drinking tons of sugar and eating sugar and fast food and processed foods and chemicals. They don't exercise, they don't diet, and it's just then they raise their kids to not exercise and not diet and get fat and fatter and fatter and dumber and dumber and dumber. And then we've basically got an idiocracy type situation where the people are really dumb and slap fighting is the biggest thing going on. I mean, it's like, how fucking dumb are people? They just get dumber and dumber and dumber. And the dumber they get, the harder it is to defeat these people. However, they are all vaccinated. They got their vaccines because the TV told them to. And there's going to be a mass die off of these dumb people. I don't know if that's a plus or a minus, but these people will never ever learn anything. They don't care. They don't want to learn. They don't want to be burdened by information, knowledge, or truth. They just want their rigged sports and their satanic music and their LGBT TV shows and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. That's where we're at. So some of the Nazis or German population may have figured out the plans of these controllers and would plan their escape from our known world or realm, leaving to Antarctica with massive amounts of stolen gold and technology. The retrieval of the stolen gold would be extremely important, along with the missing technology and personnel. Now, it was said between 8 and $15 billion in gold went missing, along with massive amounts of mercury. Now, mercury was used as a type of fuel that powered anti gravity type craft for off world or out of realm travel and transportation. This would have been a type of UFO, as we would call them, that that was back engineered from this old world. And a secret mission was launched to regain the stolen items known as Operation High Jump. This operation was commanded by a high level Freemason and hidden hand operative, Admiral Richard E. Byrd. Now, this mission would result in a failure and would end with 3 atomic bombs or reset weapons being detonated by the controllers in Antarctica. So next week's video, I'll get into Operation High Jump and try to explain what was really going on there. There was a lot of occult rituals going on, a lot of deception going on. So that's next week's video. So look for that. So here is this wider Earth map, I guess. I don't know if this is a moon reflection map or what, but you can see by the blue arrow, that's where the gateway is to get out of our realm and into the outer realm or the outer space of our realm. And the giant red arrow is where this new Schwabenland was located. There you see it blown up, New Schwabenland. That's where this German breakaway civilization took place. Now, this could have also been the old world inhabitants, whoever was left, went to this new Schwabenland. If you look at before and after pictures of Germany and Berlin and stuff, it's all Tartarian architecture. It's all old world free energy kind of buildings and stuff like that, which is a big reason why they have these wars is to keep blowing up these buildings and make sure they don't turn on the buildings for free power, because once you get unlimited power you can start moving into matter energy transformation and creation physics, and they cannot have that because eventually you could just 3D print gold and have unlimited money. And they have to stop this and create a scarcity for these things. That's why they're, taking you off the gold standard, taking you off the silver standard, giving you the debt-based currency, giving you, it's all artificial scarcity. Keep using fossil fuels, and we're going to run out of oil someday. Don't open the gates and give us free power where we can run our cars off water and stuff like that. No, we have to always have an artificial scarcity, which we can use as a trigger for doing more wars, more conflicts. Desert Storm, we're going in to get the oil in Iraq and all this stuff. It's all a deception. And the more you look into this stuff and understand about the fossil fuels is not created from dinosaurs rotting in the ground and stuff. It's a different type of substance, and under this crude oil, you find this black goo substance. Now, I've talked a lot in my book about this black goo and all these other theories, which kind of put everything together and expand on this further. But it's just interesting when you stand back as an observer and understand how we've created all this scarcity to create more money for these elites. But the money is debt-based currency, so it's not really about money when you own the printers that make the money. It's about control, it's about slavery, it's about keeping the population dumb and docile so they never figure out what is truly going on and how they are all being controlled by this very, very small population of people. So, Operation Paperclip would also aid in the founding of Israel, which would take the Palestinian land and give it to the occupying Zionist Jews. This land was said to be highly valuable and contained rich minerals, rare earth elements, along with petroleum oil. The Jews who now control and occupy this land would move from their Khazarian homeland and control the land we now know as Israel. But before these Canaanites would take the valuable land, they resided in Khazaria, which is located in modern day Ukraine. This is why all these things are in play now for this final world war. And their number one goal is get any white skinned Christian descendants of Ukraine, send them to the front lines, send out people to just kidnap them, throw them in the vans, send them to the front, and have them killed off. When all of the Ukrainian men are killed off, the Jews move back in and breed with the women to create more, Aryan Jew people. And that's what is going on. That's what the Nazis were all about, was creating an Aryan race. The Aryan race they're talking about is the Luciferian race. They're Luciferians. The SS is the synagogue of Satan. The Nazis are the National Zionists. People need to understand this. And once you understand this and accept it, everything kind of focuses and you see a whole new world, and the symbolism sticks out a lot further because you break the spell they have cast on you. So this would install Zionists throughout the world and further the goals of the New World Order. It would also be the foundation for NATO, or the Nazi American Treaty Organization or Trade Organization. It's all controlled by NATO and NASA. All world governments report to NASA. All the conflicts and killing world leaders and rigging elections. It's all CIA. The CIA is ran by Israel and Mossad. Think about Epstein Island. Epstein Island was a Mossad and CIA operation to blackmail politicians and push their people into power, where you see all these World Economic Forum people are all the leaders of the country. They win all the elections because they're all rigged, and it's the same story over and over and over again. So here you have Palestine in 1946 and how it's slowly just taken and stolen and given to these Aryan Jewish Israeli people. Now, the final, if you look at the last picture of 2012, they're exterminating people. It is a genocide. This is what these people do. They move in, they kill, they weaken, they distort the population, and then when the population is weak and demoralized, they exterminate. Here is where Ukraine is. This was Khazaria, and it all leads to the same people over and over and over again. The NATO organization would slowly corrupt every nation it infested to eventually start a third world war with Russia and China, because Russia and China connect to Tartaria in the old world. All the Christian nations would oppose the Zionist Jews. The Palestinian land may or may not have been the Holy Land, but the Zionist Jews who stole this land and occupy it are not the chosen people of the Creator God. They serve Lucifer and are his chosen people. Knowing this, many dots should connect, and the events of the modern world should focus and become more clear. That the Nazis, the SS, Jewish ruling class of Germany were the Nazis, they were the SS, and they turned into NATO. Now we're going to move into this Third World War where all these supposed nuclear bombs are set up, the final resetting of the major cities of Tartary, Chicago, New York, San Francisco. This is like the end time nuclear bombs, or like the Terminator movie where all the nuclear bombs are fired on both sides. And when all these cities are wiped out, that's when Operation Bluebeam starts, or Project Bluebeam starts, and the aliens come, and the aliens will all be these demonic looking gray aliens and lizard people and stuff, and they'll tell you that we've got to stop these nuclear bombs, and they cause all these problems, and then they offer the solution. That's how it always works. Now, when the Jews say they are God's chosen people, no one understand that it's their God, not our God. They are satanic Luciferians, Aryans, Luciferians, SS, Synagogue of Satan, Nazis, National Zionists. It's the same thing over and over and over again. After World War II, these Truman Rhine Meadows death camps formed, and all of the German population left were rounded up and exterminated, starved to death. The same people responsible for the reset of North America in 1776 time period, the repopulation of Australia in 1776, as well as the French Revolution, were the ones responsible for the American Civil War, World War I, and again World War II. Same controllers and same agendas over and over again. The goal is to create a one world government and a new world order with a final great reset completed between 2030 and 2050. This is mainly the 20 Agenda 2045 and all this stuff. When this final great reset is completed, all Christians will be removed, the white race will be exterminated and replaced with the other races who are far more easily controllable. And once this truth is seen and accepted, we can avoid it and start to plan accordingly. So, 1945 to 1959, Operation Paperclip was basically the next phase of the plan of breaking up the nuclear family, drugs, invented CIA culture, mind control, fluoridated water, suppressing the technology, and creating a breakaway civilization for them, these elites, in their underground bunkers and stuff like that. Now, if they had rockets and can go to the moon and can go to Mars and all this stuff, they wouldn't need all these deep underground military bases that were self sufficient in which they could go into and disappear for 10, 15 years with their life extension technology and stuff like that. All these things lead to the destruction of America and Western values. No one seems to see it or want to acknowledge the amount of shit that was dumped on us after World War II, because the History Channel says America won the war when we did not win the war. The wars are unwinnable when both sides are controlled by the same controlling force. Our tax dollars are shipped overseas to Israel and to other nations, which are used as a proxy force against the people of America and Western culture. Now, America must fall to accomplish the New World Order and start of the next great reset. And we're moving towards the people can't afford to have kids. The brown people all breed and have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids. They all get government assistance. They get free housing, free health care, free food, free medical, dental, vision, free schools, and then they all work for cash under the table and buy brand new trucks and stuff like that. Meanwhile, we're all driving a 96 Ford Ranger and a 2001 Corolla. I mean, it's the same thing ever. There is no opportunities for the white man, but the white women push to the front. The black women push to the front. Black men push to the front. Asians push to the front. And the white man who has built all this stuff is now not needed, and we're going to fully replace the white man. And I mean, this is how this system works. This is how they do this every time. It's understanding the whole aspect of how this went down in the past, you will understand how this is going to go down in the future. And we're seeing it right now play out as of 2024. These rigged elections, these mass vaccines, the brainwashing of the people. The the people are just incoherent, they're dumb, they can't speak, they can't talk, they can't read, they can't write, but they know all about the Kardashians and they know about basketball and the NBA and all these black rappers and all this gay culture that's pushed onto us. If we wake up to this, we may avoid it. But we also have to understand that if you're a white man, you're the number one goal. You're the domestic terrorist they're looking for. You're the reason all this Patriot Front and all these FBI groups are trying to really make white people seem as Nazis is because they're going to flip a switch and anyone who criticizes Israel is on a list. You're going to be rounded up, sent to a re-education camp. They've done this before. They're going to do it again. And they're going to keep doing it over and over and over again until people figure out the real game that's being played. They want you to be a Nazi. They want you to be a white supremacist and stuff. That's how they flip the switch and get their next World War III. We need to pray. We need to have Jesus Christ in our hearts. We need to understand the teachings of Christ, but we also need to understand the truth of Christ and that we are fighting satanic demonic entities and people who worship and serve these satanic demonic entities and the lizard people and all this stuff. The same people who did all this resetting of Tartaria are the same synagogue of Satan that is doing this and trying to do this to America. Something to think about. We'll see. I'm going to end that right here. Mud Fossil Research and Truth, Mud Fossil Truth and Research on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. However, it seems like they're doing another mass cleansing. Anyone who has said Jews or Jewish, you're going to get blocked and deleted. They don't want you anywhere near their platforms trying to wake up the normies who are getting getting this information for the first time and it's really they're terrified of it. So you can find me on Twitter in the box below for the time being, I guess. You can find me on Rumble and BitChute at Modern American Gangster. That's where these videos are. Mud Fossil Research and Truth on YouTube. Get my book, The Great Awakening. You really should grab a copy of this book in case they wipe the internet out and they do a full cyber attack where everything gets deleted. They want everything deleted on the internet so they can fully reset everything again, hide all evidence, hide all truths. And if you have this information in a paperback version, you're going to have it no matter what. So grab the Great Awakening Unit 1, Timeline of Historical Events, Great Awakening Unit 2, Continued Points of Study. There's an ebook, digital download, or the Great Awakening Unit 1, Unit 2 paperback version, where if you really study this and look into it, research the stuff that I have put in this book, you will have the foundational knowledge needed to identify the symbols and symbolism and identify these people. Okay? Gab, Modern American Gangster, Truth Social. I'm not really on these platforms anymore. I'm probably going to stop advertising them. It just seems like they're dead platforms. The second they start charging for a premium service, they just disappear and no one goes on them anymore. You can find me on n1m.com/ Modern American Gangster. That's where you can find my music, and I put the audio versions of these videos on there for people to leave. I just hit 100,000 profile views, so check that out. You can hear my music on there. You can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube / Modern American Gangster under the topic subject and listen to all my music. Pretty good stuff. I made it a long time ago, but it still holds up today. If you'd like to donate, do so on PayPal, mudfossil124875. These videos take a long time to make, they take a long time to edit, and they take even longer to upload to the 3 platforms that I'm uploading to. So donations do help. If you'd like to request a certain subject or have any ideas, please make a donation. and I'll see what I can do. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave a thumbs up, share this content, leave any questions or comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're learning something new and understanding the other version of reality that they're not telling you and that they're hiding and they don't want you to discover. But technically, because we have free will, they cannot stop us from learning the truth, and they must let the truth out there as part of their deal for that we have free will and we have the option of learning the truth if we want to know the truth. So they can provide you with their truth and their version of reality and space and globes and vaccines, or we can get the other side of the coin, which inspires thinking, creativity, and the questioning of their systems. Next week, it will be Operation High Jump. So look for that next Wednesday. That's the end. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week and a good weekend, and we'll see you next.